All right, we're back with Melanie of Glaze Craft Windows, and this is Mitch, and we are going over linseed oil paint. So this is like really the second video in the series here, and we just want to quickly discuss primers. Again, primers are on pretty much any window restoration project, in fact, home or exterior restoration. You're gonna get it back to bare wood, and then you're gonna lay down a primer before you put on the final coats. Again, there are 45 distributors out there that we know of that sell linseed oil paints. A few of those distributors sell pre-made primers. Some do not. So if you're really into a certain color from a certain distributor and they don't sell a primer, you can make your own primer. You want to go over that formula? It's pretty cool.
Yeah, look to your paint supplier for their formula. Always start there. But typically it's a mix of raw linseed oil and something like Balsam Turpentine or mineral spirits.
Okay.
The formula I use, the Brouns Co suggests, actually includes 50% paint. So 50% paint, 35% of the raw linseed oil, and 15% of the balsam turpentine. And that thins it all down far enough that it will soak deep into the wood. Adding the paint has the benefit of bringing in the additives that are in the paint. For instance, like zinc oxide, which is so useful for mold and mildew resistance as well as hardening. Mm-hmm. So check what your paint supplier's suggestion is, but typically it's some sort of combination of 50, 35, 15, or 75.
Right.
And
so when we say
25.
paint suppliers, this would be an online, as far as we know, most of the time you find this online. There may be a few brick and mortar stores where you live that sell this, but generally it's online. You'd go onto the online website and they say, hey, for primer, here's the ratio that you would mix. And it's fairly simple: some mineral spirits, some linseed oil, and the paint color. Now what's cool about adding in the paint from the start is you're also getting your color base developed, right? Yeah. So okay, now one of the distributors out there is called Brouns Company, and they actually sell a pre-made primer.
Right.
And let's get this a little closer here. So this is their primer number 1. And does this have color to it, or is it just white generally?
Yeah, it's white. Typically, they sell a few different primers depending on what color you have chosen. Mm-hmm. And this primer number 1 is what they recommend for all white.
So if I'm being avant-garde and I'm painting my house kind of a black or a really dark tone, they may have a gray primer or something like that. Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, you can buy it pre-mixed and you save the trouble of doing this, but it is so simple that you don't need to buy an additional primer. You can take your paint, and if you've got good quality raw linseed oil and true balsam turpentine, then you can build your own primer.
But if you're like a homeowner and you're really bad at math and ratios like I am, you might just want to get the primer. Go ahead. Now, how far will one of those little cans go?
I have used this tiny can for well over 25 sash.
Wow, that's amazing.
It really goes a long, long way.
So if you have a small, medium-sized house, you may only need to get one of these little cans, or max 2 if you got a huge house. Maybe a gallon or something. But yeah, that's really cool. And then one thing I really like about linseed oil paint is, if you're using a latex paint, which is a water-based paint, you wash out the paintbrush, using water or something. But with an oil paint, I was like, well, I don't want to use turpentine every night to wash out my paint. What's really cool though is you can just dip it in the linseed oil and keep it moist, and then you kind of wipe it with a rag and you're ready to go the next day. So this is you have one for each one of your colors, one of your jars, and this is your primer jar. And we'll do a video going over all that process, but it's really cool how you did that. And you can use like binder clips or hair ties or whatever to hold it up. So just a short primer on primer, and we'll be back talking about the paints. Thanks.